Our today's guest is Eugene Mayne, the founder and CEO of Tristar Group. Eugene started Tristar in 1998 with 3 used trucks and a bold decision to invest his family's savings. Today, Tristar has grown into Middle East's largest privately owned energy logistics company with operations in over 30 countries and more than 2,000 road transport assets. He spent 22 years with Caltex before taking the leap to start his own company at age 45, a decision he describes as a mix of risk and luck. His career has been defined not just by strategic expansion, but by a deep commitment to ethics, safety, and purpose over profit. He's been recognized with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Sea Trade Maritime Awards, named among the top 25 most influential logistics executives in the Middle East for 7 consecutive years. And in 2024, he was listed by the Khalij Times as one of 53 individuals who have contributed to the UAE's progress. But here's what no one knows about Eugene Mayne. Well, until now, he's championed sustainability, community welfare, and a values-driven culture across a global operation that includes 35 maritime vessels and over 50 fuel farms worldwide. And today, we are going beyond the achievements. We are talking leadership, legacy, and the man behind the title. Eugene Mayne, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, one of the things that fascinates me, and I remember the first time I heard this story, you were there at the welcome dinner for our leadership program.
Right.
And you mentioned how Tristar, the first vessel that you had bought, how did that come about?
Oh, that was a bold decision I made in the middle of the night. You know,
Middle of the night.
in the middle, because the deal was happening in Australia. So the auction process was going on Australian time. So it was about 2 in the morning, I think. And I had to make a decision because I didn't have a choice. Either you bid or you don't bid. Where do you go to get approvals or ask somebody? Or there's no chance. So I took the plunge. I think paid $12 million or $15 million for that vessel, and I confirmed the deal. And then I used to report to Isa at that time, and I had to break the news to him. So he said, Isa, what do you think if I buy a ship and name it after your wife? And that's how the whole thing happened. You know, we have a very informal, casual relationship. So he didn't really take me seriously, but they supported me all the way. And that's how that was the first ship. And today we own 35 ships.
I think that was it. That was the key decision in the middle of the night. And then you found the right words.
Not be able to say no.
Really, you make an offer, no one can refuse. Like you had to, right?
right, yeah.
Excellent, amazing.
I think if I have to look back and to try to connect the dots, for me, without hesitation, I think the association with the agility and the stake I sold to them, that was transformational for Tristar. Because, it brought much needed capital. And I think the other thing that was very instrumental in our success is the freedom and flexibility that I had to run the business. For me, that was very important. Decision-making, ability. And I think that's something that really contributed to where Tristar reached. Like I told you, the ship, I just make decisions. The Guam terminal, it was all independent decision, but they never let me down. They always backed me up. And I think that was key. And today, Tristar is to $1 billion company because of some bold decisions that we were able to make. The UN contracts, we got a contract for $500 million. Of course, there was a lot of support from Agility. It was a big deal. We spent a month in New York negotiating that. But at the end of the day, I had to deliver that, and it was not easy. We put a $50 million bid bond.
Wow.
And not knowing where we were going. I went to Sudan for thinking I'll look around, see what's happening for 3 days. I didn't come back for 6 months because I used to get sleepless nights. I didn't know where to start. It was all over the country and we had a deadline, 3 months. We had to do this. So it was a nightmare. But finally we delivered. And today we're the largest fuel supplier to the UN with over $1 billion in contracts.
What a success story.
And that was also transformational, yeah. That was a big success for us. And that's what really transformed us in a big way with getting this big UN contracts and being successful with it was a big challenge. We took on a challenge. The UN was flying fuel, which was not cost effective for them. And they gave us a challenge. If we give you the contract, you can't fly more than $1 billion of fuel. So we took on the challenge, and of course, we managed to deliver that.
Yeah. And the fact that year after year after year you are getting the contract speaks volumes about how they think you have, delivered.
I think, and that's most important, getting a contract is one thing, but delivering to a customer's expectations is another thing. It's not just you won a contract, and we have to look at it holistically. I mean, look at building a relationship. For me, everything that I do is how do I build a relationship from this? I start somewhere, but I have to build a relationship. And the only way we can build a relationship is with performance and meeting and exceeding their expectations. And I think today we are in such a position that the UN just trusts us. UN normally doesn't trust anybody. They look at everybody with suspicion. This guy doing this or that. But I think now they have realized that Tristar is truly trustworthy because we don't try to take advantage. We are very transparent, and we, lay it as it is so that they know what the situation on the ground. And it's very difficult to predict in these remote regions. It's very difficult to predict what is happening. Every day things change. And I think over the years, and I have bailed the UN out also. When we lost a contract once in Central African Republic 5 years ago because somebody came in at a very low price. And for the UN, it's all about price.
Yes.
So they gave it to the other party. And within 6 months, they started to fail. They couldn't deliver because they went at such a low price. And they came back to us, would you be able to take on this? And it was a huge challenge. But we took it on. And we rescued them, all the places. The UN cannot afford to run dry of fuel because they're doing these operations for peacekeeping. And most of them are military troops. And military needs fuel and food. So that's what the UN contracts out.
Right.
Food contracts and fuel contracts. And so when the fuel ran dry and troops were without fuel, all hell broke loose in New York. So everybody was, really at their wits' end. And then they asked us whether we would come and take over that contract, which we did. I think we did it very well. It went out successful. Within a couple of months, everything was back to normal. And that's built a relationship with the UN. So this is really a very strong relationship. It's not about winning a contract. Every time we win a contract, the UN people itself say, we're very happy Tristar got it. Because they know they can relax.
Because you'll take care of everything.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
You've mentioned risk and luck are siblings. What do you mean?
I am not averse to risk taking. Let me tell you a small story. When I came here in 1976, of course, like everybody else, I came for a better life, make money, things like that. So I remember when I got my first salary, I got a job in Caltex. So not my first attempt, it was my second attempt. And I got that was actually my first salary that I got. And I used to share a room with a guy in a hotel somewhere there, opposite the fish market there. And when I came home, he said, Eugene, what are you doing? It was a Thursday evening. I said, nothing much. We're just hanging around. So he said, why don't we go to Ras Al Khaimah? There's a casino there. Let's go and check it out.
Okay.
So I said, okay, why not? Yes. So I went with him. I lost all my salary there. I came back with zero.
Okay.
And that's what I would say. I'm not averse to taking risks. For me, a risk thing. But a business risk is different. Yes. Again, it's a well-managed risk here. So I don't want to get anybody wrong or give the wrong ideas. But that's what I mean by risks and opportunity are siblings. They go together. And in business, you need to, in a casino, of course, there's not much you can mitigate. But I think in business, there are several aspects that you need to look at before you venture out to do business. A lot of people get it wrong because they possibly don't understand profit versus cash flow, things like that, which can get a person into trouble.
I think what you mentioned is key. losing is one thing, right? So you're risk averse, and then you lose, and then I think it's that moment when that happens. How are you processing that information? Are you devastated that this happened? Are you thinking about why it happened and how can I correct it the next time? And in that moment, when this has happened, and what you're thinking, I think then defines your next step and then defines the success that comes out of a failure. So, if I may ask, what is it that you thought in that moment when you lost everything in the casino? What were your thoughts?
I mean, like I said, for me, taking risk, I enjoy the challenge. I like the challenge. But I think when you're making investments in business, it's a different type of a risk. You have to look at several factors of, it's not just the financial aspect of it, but you need to balance the way you handle the business. Again, people, handling people, the risk of people, getting the right type of people, having the right values is very important. You can go for short-term gains, you can take shortcuts, you can do this, but in the long run, you don't benefit. But being patient, going the right way, and this is something that has got immense value. So today in TriStar, right from top to bottom, everybody understands there's only one way for us to go, and that is to go straight. This
Yes.
is what we do.
I love that. I've been to the TriStar offices, was there last month, and I have to say everything about those offices, whether it was safety, whether it was your people, whether it was the processes, whether it was the policies, whether it was the premises, everything. I was super impressed with it. And I could see everywhere I went, there was huge respect for Eugene Mayne. What do you think is that one quality that has created that environment and that kind of respect from your people for you?
For me, it's a question of, I've always been a people's person. Right from my younger days, I used to also always look out for people. I mean, whether it was organizing summer camps or going on the weekends to the slums and doing, for the slum dwellers, we used to build houses, do these kind of routine things. But that's not the point. I think the power of people is an immense strength that should not be undermined or undervalued. So for me in my business, I like to stay connected with my business. Some people say you're micromanaging, but for me, I look at it differently. I like to stay connected, and that what puts me in touch with people right at the down the line. When I was the business first started, I used to work with the drivers every day or the mechanics. Of course, now it's more difficult to stay connected with all those guys. But I had a bond with all these people. And return for that, they would give me their life, to be very honest, especially the drivers and everybody. They would come, they would feel so happy to just talk to me, have a cup of tea together, work together. So it was a very close working relationship. It was like a family business. And that's how we grew up. So the bond between all the people is not like an employer and employee. It's more like people are not afraid to speak up. And this is also important. Anybody wants something, they don't have that fear of how do I go, my door is like a open door policy. Even a driver can come in, and I've made that rule right from the beginning. Drivers can walk into my office anytime. So that has given them a lot of that bonding, and that kind of bonding is very important. So the company, at the end, the company grows stronger when all employees pull in one direction. And for me, that's part of my role, to keep everybody pulling in the same direction is very important. And when we do things like protect the employees forget about their rights, but their interests. For example, during COVID or anything else, we always put employees first. The safety culture we drive is mainly protecting drivers from getting killed. So a lot of it we do for the employees. When I started TriStar, and one of the biggest things we did was in the transport industry in those days, drivers never used to get paid. 6 months, 7 months, they used to never get paid. They were just, not treated fairly by their employers. They used to always struggle to get salaries on time. So I made it a point that everybody has to get their salary. And we never missed a month since we started. So these kind of things go a long way in getting the trust of the drivers. And once you get their trust, people, especially in this community of trucking, once you get the trust of the drivers, that's what ensures your success. We have grown today because of our drivers. I'm telling you, they go out of their way to service the customers. And ultimately, the company gets that benefit of the service they gave or the reputation. The company benefits from that when the company says it's the driver who is giving that, superior service or safe service. So I'm very grateful to drivers who have been instrumental in our growth. And I keep telling them all the time, TriStar has grown because of
Because
our
of them.
drivers. Yeah.
You mentioned COVID. What was that like for you?
COVID, I think, was a question of firstly, it was moral support. People were all panicking. People didn't know, reading the newspapers, various articles, layoffs. This thing. I think the first thing that I did was to assure everybody that nobody's going to lose their job, whatever happens, and we're here to take care of you. And I think also our model of business changed a bit from, before we used to very much focused on just in time getting deliveries, but we moved to another model of just in case is what I called, is changing the mindset of how we operate the company. And that was putting people first. So everything we did was about the people. We take care of them. We had a COVID-19 committee to meet every day. We used to get feedback, who's doing what, where. We set up clinics in our labor camps so drivers could get first-hand medical care. And I think over the whole process, we did well. We never lost a single person during COVID. We came close to one driver in Saudi Arabia, simply could not get access to medical facilities, but we did manage to get him there. And finally, we managed to overcome COVID without any fatalities. So that was a good uh, it was a good experience for us in managing a crisis, and again, keeping our customers' expectations also without letting them down.
Right. In my visit to TriStar, I think one of the most powerful things that hit me was the importance safety had, the place that safety has, like everywhere. It was from step one that I walked into, it was safety protocols. Here is what your badge, your hat, and everything was making sure, even a step was marked there. Please watch your step. I mean, these are the little things. So when safety is so ingrained in the mindset, and you just see it everywhere in your office. It's not just, of course, road safety, because that is key to the business, but also I realized psychological safety that you mentioned, whether it's mental health awareness sessions that you have in your office, emotional health awareness. And these are all, I think, important things which do build up, like you said, for your employees, for your people, for your team. This is them feeling safe. This is them feeling cared for.
It's good that you mentioned mental health. About 10 years ago, the sea, we have many ships and we have many seafarers. And the sea is a lonely life, especially for people who go as seafarers. It's a very lonely life and it can be very stressful. And in a space of 2 weeks, we had two people on our ship, seafarers, both jumped overboard and killed themselves, suicides. And that's a common thing at sea, but nobody talks about it because everybody wants to push it under the carpet. Nobody wants to say we had a death because of a seafarer or this. So nobody wants. But I think we took the opposite approach. We said, let us make this, bring it up, let people become aware that this is a problem in the seafaring community.
Right.
People are stressed. It's a lonely life. And then it can be a stressful life because you don't have friends, you have to make friends, you could get bullied. There are various things that can happen on board a vessel. So we decided to do something and we started TriStar Maritime Safety Conference. And it's well received. It's attended by seafarers all over the world. We bring in people, we discuss issues, mental health issues. Why do they do? Talked about providing first aid and immediate help if they need, if they are stressed and they want to talk. We provide
Right.
first lines so that they can talk to somebody, counseling and providing assistance. And I think since then, a lot of momentum has been gathered. And I've not seen anything in the recent past, but I won't say suicides have totally disappeared. But at least we can see a lot of improvements and driving this. And a lot of people are picking up this culture now about health, mental health. You must have seen now with this Hormuz crisis, with all the ships stuck there, you don't know the ultimate people who lose are those that poor seafarers. They're stuck there 3 months, 4 months. They can't go this side, that side. They could be getting missiles attacked. Nobody talks about that.
Nobody.
Everybody's talking about oil shortage is moving.
We're talking about a parcel that did not reach us.
Yeah, but the victims are the
Completely forgot about the
poor
people on the
seafarers. They have been there for so many months. They cannot get out this side or that side. And that's really a big challenge for them. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up, because really, I never thought of it before this.
No, it is an occupational hazard for these guys. Nobody knows. 90% of world trade moves by sea. But this is a totally neglected community, you know. During COVID, I remember there was a captain, not on our ship, but I read it in the news, that the ship was sailing around for over 6 months because the captain had died on board. He died because of heart attack. They could not offload him because no port was willing for the ship to dock because they had somebody who died of COVID. The guy's body was on board the ship for over 6 months. So there were huge challenges during COVID. And
Right.
I'm glad that's behind us now.
Yes. But you know, the thing about mental health is that if a person is physically not well, it shows. You know, you're having a heart attack, let's do something, get help. You have a cut, a wound, let's stitch it up. But when a person is struggling with mental health, nobody knows what that person is going through unless he knows how to express that. And nobody is taught how to express your mental health issues, because there's so much stigma around expressing something like around accepting even that you're feeling this way.
And let me tell you, so another thing that we face today is the messaging. Today, a guy on board a ship, in fact, this is what our investigation showed, one of the guys who jumped, just before dinner, he was sitting around, I believe, and he got a message on his phone, and maybe he didn't show up for dinner. So when they started to look, they didn't find him. But this is the problem. Maybe he got some bad news, maybe he got something, but the way it's communicated to him is in a cold, you get an SMS, what does it say? Doesn't give you any. And so that has a negative impact, and possibly people have no solution at that moment. They take the thing to jump overboard. And I think in his case, that was possibly the issue, because he was normal before that. And then they saw him on his phone, something, he got a message, and he didn't show up for dinner, and it was gone. So this is the problem. And on the ship, if it's at home and a family, you can talk to somebody here. Who do you go and talk to? Because everybody is like a stranger there, or not a family member. These are the challenges. But I'm glad we are able to contribute to that cause by promoting mental health at sea.
Yes.
Gathering a lot of money.
And I remember someone did mention in your office about this conference. It's held in November every year?
Yeah, around that time. That's correct.
It's huge. It's amazing that you've taken this bold step of accepting what has happened, because that's the first thing. People do push these kind of things under the carpet because they don't want to talk about it. They don't want anyone else to know. But I think what you've done here is pretty bold, as usual, Eugene style, bold and the right thing to do, however hard it may be. And it has brought about, like you said, so many good consequences, and also maybe given other organizations the courage to talk about it within their organization. So
and we have a lot of seafarers signing up, because they could, now with technology available, they can all sign up. They don't need to come physically to attend the conference. So from their own vessels, they all sign up. And for them also, it's a good thing about showing them that, all is not lost. If you have a thing, reach out to somebody, reach out to your captain, reach out to somebody, talk to somebody. Because in these kind of moments, you need to talk, you need to get it off your chest. And I think by doing this and setting up helplines and psychological safety and a lot of other good practices, people feel more encouraged.
Absolutely. So I'm happy this message is coming across. And for all our viewers, if you are struggling with mental health, or if anyone you know is struggling with mental health, do not take it lightly. This could be a life and death issue without you even realizing. So let's take this moment. Eugene Mayne is here with us talking about psychological safety, talking about mental health awareness and the importance, and how he's taken every step, as hard and as bold as it is, to bring awareness. So let's continue this. Let's keep the ball rolling. This is a domino effect. And as other organizations join this, we will be able to come to a place where people feel safe about talking about how they're feeling and if they need help. And Eugene, one of the important things about how we are made, I think as a human being, we are very intelligent, and we sometimes do not give it as much importance, because a recent study about stress talks about a hormone, oxytocin. And we generally believe that oxytocin is released when you're relaxed, when you're cuddling someone. It's also called the cuddle hormone. I can see you know about it. And, when a mother feeds a baby and all of that. But the newest report suggests that oxytocin is also released when you're stressed.
Yeah.
And that was weird, right? Doesn't make sense. But it does, because it's your body's way of saying, reach out to someone. When you're stressed, your body releases oxytocin, and that hormone tells you, I want to reach out and talk to someone.
Body is a very complex discussion to have. But I think we have to cope the best we can, I think. And one of the ways of that is talking, letting out, as as we just talked about. Also, your body has unique way of telling you when something is not going right. And you can ignore it or you can address it. And that is something that timely action is important to make sure. And this is something we promote a lot in TriStar, the health and well-being. Because we don't want people to, when you're sick, you don't feel like maybe you're sick, you don't come, you're not happy at work. I think this is the other thing for us, happiness at the workplace. Want everybody to come and be happy. It shouldn't be like Monday morning blues every day. I don't want to go. Want people to be excited to come to work.
Yes.
And this is what we try to do, how we can, make people excited to come to work. So whether it's oxytocin or anything else, I think creating that ambience is important. And that's why when you come to our office, you see there are a lot of signs which give you positive vibes. I think for us to create that positive vibe. So.
And I felt it. I have to say, Shivananda was the one who had invited me to give a talk on mental health awareness last month when I was there.
That's right.
And I could sense it, the positivity from every one of them, It was, and their receptivity and I could see that it's not a one-off thing. It's not because, today is the mental health awareness and this, lady is coming and going to talk about it. It wasn't that half an hour talk.
Yeah.
It was imbibed.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. It was in the walls, in the corners of the offices, and in the hearts of everyone.
That's what makes us happy. We need to live our values. It's not just hanging papers on the wall.
Right.
And that's what we've been trying to do for so many years.
Yes.
And building that culture. And the culture is one way of building a culture, just getting people to change habits. And how do you get people to change habits? You need to connect here. When you connect with their hearts and minds, people are not stupid. Nobody wants to die. That's the underlying.
Yes.
That's the bottom line for us. Nobody wants to die. So maybe they're misinformed, maybe they don't understand. For a heavy-duty driver coming from India or Pakistan or Sri Lanka, for them a license is a license to speed, to earn money. And the faster they drive, they earn more money. But the consequence of something going wrong is what they don't understand. And so for us, it is to keep on. And we have been so successful in this culture because we invest. You have to invest time in that. And starting from me right down to the bottom, we all have to have the same standards, the same rules. And I think that is what demonstrate to people that we are serious. We are not just making a show. And I think that's the most important thing for us, to make sure that it is real. It's not just putting posters on the wall and looking the other side. No, I don't think we believe in that.
How do you take care of your health? Whether it's mental, emotional, physical?
Well, I do a lot of things. I mean, I do some exercise. I do work out a bit. At my age, of course, I'm not doing any rigorous exercises, but yeah, I do that.
You seem fairly fit.
Yeah, I take care of myself, yeah. So as best you can expect for somebody at my age. So it's no health complaints, let me put it that way.
I love it. When I visited the offices, there was this huge whiteboard, like 4 of them, and it talks about your annual meeting.
It's just like a brain tickler, what is to be done,
What's
urgent
like
and
it?
important, not so important, what is this? So when you walk into the office, you can just get an idea that, okay, this thing you need to attend to today, or this can be deferred. Just to give you reminders, I think that's...
I want to talk a little about how I've met quite a few people in your office, the Shivananda and then Balaji. These are people who've been with you for years. They're like family.
For me, my people are an asset and I invest. For me, every recruitment I do, I don't look at it as and I tell them to them when they come, I'm investing in you. I'm not expecting you to come here and resign after 1 year or 2 months or 3 months. I want you to be here. And you have to mentally prepare yourself before you take the job. Maybe you have other intentions. But let me know now, because for me, see, I don't fire people, to be honest. I rarely fire. I've never fired anybody unless for disciplinary grounds or something we terminate them. But I don't fire people. I always feel more, the human side of it, loss of a job, this, that. So we don't encourage that. I don't take that route. So I think being engaged with the people, giving that comfort factor. I like to see people all for the long term. Many people are being with us 15 years,
Yeah.
16 years, 17 years. Yeah. And maybe it's a place to start and to retire home, because we promote and project a family culture. So this is important for us. It's not somebody comes and goes tomorrow,
Right.
but they're there and they stay put, and then that
I saw that.
belonging is there. When you feel that belonging, you feel you own the company. You feel, and this is the whole thing, to give the people that
Sense of belonging.
the sense
This
of
is their
belonging.
company. Yes.
So ownership they can take.
True.
This year we put out a scheme: ownership, accountability, and productivity. So what we call OAP. So tell everybody, take the ownership, be accountable, and be productive. That's it. It's as very simple as that. And we're doing well, but I think we still have long ways to go. We're a growing company. We're growing larger. It's not that what we were 20 years ago. We've grown substantially in 30 countries. It's not a joke. And to create that consistent performance, culture, everything across 30 countries, it's not easy. It's not easy, because every country has got its own unique characteristics. So you have to blend local culture with international policies that we do. So it's not easy, because here it's easy because we're all here. We live and talk the same language every day. But keeping this consistency overseas is not easy, because we need to be there. But now with the technology and the Teams calls and everything that we can communicate with, it makes it much more easy. Plus our annual leadership summit, where everybody comes, are able to share ideas, know what's happening in the company. That's also helpful, and that's been we've been doing this for the last 10 years.
Right.
So that's also one way of communicating that. Yeah.
This question just popped in my head as I was listening to you. You mentioned the bold decision you took in the middle of the night to start a company. My question is, were you married then when you took this decision?
Yeah, I came to Dubai in 1976. It didn't take long for me to get married. I think I got married in 1980.
And when you took this decision, what did your wife say? Was she like, yes, let's go for it? Was she concerned? Was she like, what are you doing? Like, what was her reaction?
My wife has always been very supportive. She blindly leads whatever I do. She has that much trust in me. But I think she's also been very supportive. I think the other side of my wife is her whole world centers around her God. She's all the time in the church, praying, doing things, looking after people here, there. So that's occupies her time. And she has tremendous belief in her faith. Her faith is tremendous, And a lot of people call her to, if somebody is not well, Joan, please pray for this, do this. And maybe I should give you, I don't know, I normally don't like to broadcast this, but maybe it's the right time to talk about this, because it actually happened to us last year, September. My son is, he's a physical fitness guy. He's all the time chase. He spends 3 hours in the gym every day, goes. And I think September morning, 6:30, it was a holiday. I was at my desk at home. And I got a call that Uncle Jonathan has had a small accident on the treadmill. And we're taking him to the hospital. So I said, what happened? He said, we'll call you. We're taking him to the hospital. So I called George. He was early morning in the church praying. So by the time I reached there, the ambulance was bringing him, but he was lifeless. And they told me that he had what they call a widowmaker heart attack. That's if you get that attack, you don't survive that. And his heart had actually stopped for a few, I don't know, seconds, minutes, whatever it is. But his friends rallied around him in the gym. They did not stop pumping his heart till the ambulance came. Possibly that also brought him back. And that was a great miracle. And, my wife, she was on her knees, on her toes, on whatever it is, praying to this thing for a recovery. And I believe she had a lot to do with that because our prayers are very powerful. And we're lucky to have him back. We're lucky to have him back.
That is beautiful. I absolutely believe that. Prayers are powerful.
Yeah, I think. So this is it. My wife has a reputation. Everybody calls her when there is somebody sick. Please, please pray. So that's what she does. Yeah.
If I were to ask you, what is that one thing you think that has made you successful in doing what you do every day? What would that be?
I think it's a combination of everything. One for sure is there's no substitute for work. It's hard work. Luck. We talked about luck, but I find the harder you work, the luckier you get. So that's one thing. Hard work plus I think God's blessings. Without that, I don't think anything happens. You need to have God blessings. And have the right values, the set of values that for the long term. Don't. It's very easy to get distracted in business. If you get distracted, it's very easy to go astray. And when you go astray, then things start to go wrong. So it's very important to stay focused. You need to stay focused. And success will come. I don't think that success is something that is not achievable. Success is achievable. Everybody is the same. Your success depends on how much of effort you put into it. And so between one person to others, nobody's a genius that things change. It may be circumstances, we talked about luck, situation, may be different for different people. Maybe you got a huge inheritance, so you have be able to leverage that. But the effort that goes into business, I think that is quite instrumental. And
If you were able to change one thing in your past, what would you change?
in my past, to be very honest, if I had to live my life all over again, I wouldn't ask for anything to be different. I wouldn't wish for everything to. I had a difficult time coming up, growing up, upbringing. I used to envy every other rich kid who used to come to school in a car, or used to come here, or have a girlfriend and things. It was difficult to watch all this. And at the same time, I used to walk to school 5 kilometers every day. So it was not easy. It was, but I think I wouldn't ask for anything. It's not that. And even today, I don't think money or material issues drive me. After some time, okay, that's fine, it's good. But I have today 5 grandchildren, 2 children, only 1 wife. But they take up all my time. They take up all my time, especially on the weekends and things. I'm more a family man, devoted to the family and looking after, managing their issues. I'm the go-to man in the family.
I can see that.
So everybody comes to me.
I can see that, yeah.
That's it.
I think you have very strong instincts. Like if something comes to you in your gut feeling and you go for it, it works out.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. A lot of time, business plans are great, and the numbers are the same thing. But I believe in the fact that nobody can predict the outcome with any degree of certainty of a business plan. That's when your gut feeling comes. You like something, and you go for it. And believe all these cases of mine were 50% business plan, 50% gut feeling. Guam, we bought the terminal in Guam. I had everybody in agility screaming at me, going right up to Tarek, you know what you're doing, you're buying this ancient terminal, Second World War, all sorts of, they were putting up, all the Harvard school guys that were there in Kuwait, saying that, no. But Tariq always used to back me up with anything I put for it. We'll go for it. And today that's a jewel. Guam asset is a jewel. I think we'll get a handsome price if we sell that today. So many of these decisions on gut feeling.
How's your relationship with Tarek?
Very nice, very good. Hats off to agility. The relationship that I have with them is been really, really good, and has contributed to this success. Partners have problems and issues. Then businesses and joint ventures don't work, but our relationship is very strong. The freedom they give me is just immense. So I'm a minority stakeholder, but I run this like I'm 100% owner. And they love me, all the decisions, everything. I think that for me, really grateful for that. Yeah.
Within your team, do you have conflicts?
Not really. TriStar, I don't think anybody will challenge me in TriStar. We don't have conflicts, but I am like a father figure there. If I say something, everybody. But generally, okay, I might say something, but I'm also open if people want to say something that, opposing to order. It's not that, it's not allowed. They get nervous, they're all scared to raise their voices. But at the same time, they respect me a lot. So out of in deference, they may not say something, but I think I encourage open dialogue with people sometimes. Yeah. We get along well.
I can see that. No wonder you've been together for so long,
Yeah.
So that is testimonial. This is like the second part where I'm going to do a rapid fire round. Okay. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you one word,
Yeah.
and whatever is that first thought that comes to your mind as soon as you listen to
Okay.
it, right? First thought. So no thought, no thinking, no second guessing, just blurt out whatever comes,
Okay.
right? Are we ready?
Yeah, sure.
Rapid fire.
Go ahead.
Okay. Here's your first word. Bengaluru.
Bangalore, Garden City.
Garden City. Okay. Caltex.
Caltex was the best education I had. There's no doubt about it. So I learned everything. I did. I had a degree in finance, but believe me, most of my time, college days, was outside the classrooms, not in the classrooms. So I didn't really learn much there, even though I passed with a degree. But Caltex was a great learning experience. Today, Tristar is modeled on my 22 years in Caltex, from trucking to shipping to storage to blending to this. It's everything that I did in Caltex in my 22 years. Tristar is a replica of that model. I'm very grateful to Caltex.
For that experience.
They always have a lot of respect, and I have a lot of respect for all the big international oil companies because of just the way that they work. The discipline, the values, the trust, everything, and the fairness in dealing in business. I think those are incredible. That's why they're also successful.
True.
Yeah.
Boardrooms.
Boardroom is like the cockpit. That's where all the decisions are made. That's right. All the steering is done from the boardroom.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. What about safety?
Safety saves lives. I think it's very important. At the end of the day, it's all about how do we push first to save lives.
Zero emission.
Zero emissions is possibly a wish for 2050. That's where we're looking at 2050.
Risk.
Risk you take for reward.
I love it.
Yeah, risk and reward.
Higher the risk, higher the reward.
Higher the risk, the higher the reward. Or higher the reward, more risk. Yeah.
True. What about blockchain?
Crypto comes out. For me, I was always a fan of crypto. Yeah.
AI.
Artificial intelligence is still unknown. I mean, it's huge opportunities. That's all I can say. There are huge opportunities, but on the other side, for people like me to cope, I need to go back to school and college. It's a new learning process. You need to start to educate yourself all over again, especially with the rapid pace of disruption and technology and all the things that are changing. Never thought that one day drones will be fighting battles and Russia will get hammered with just a fleet of drones. But that's the world. I mean, it's becoming incredibly difficult to predict what's going to come out in the future. I saw the Elon Musk was planning to put, and that's why his company, what was the company that he just floated? What was the company that he floated recently? SpaceX.
SpaceX.
With that high valuation, he's building a whole city like Dubai on the moon. He's planning to put 1 million people there on the moon. I don't know by when.
Yes, and just the other day I was looking at all these different vehicles. Like they're all floating vehicles. Like whether it's a single seater, circle shape, so many different shapes and sizes of just flying away.
Yeah.
Like tomorrow is not going to be like today.
That's correct.
At all.
That's correct. You monetize a dream. This is a new business. You have a dream, monetize it.
Right. And, Tristar is a transportation heavy, operation company. And tomorrow's transportation is probably going to be different.
It'll be entirely different, That is what for us, we had one of our themes for our leadership conference was how do we future-proof Tristar? How will we be relevant in 50 years from now? And that's what we are every year brainstorming and thinking. How do we keep pace? Logistics, what we are doing will be old-fashioned. It's putting a lot of capital at risk. These things for the futuristic things might work, might not work. Might work. And secondly, it also depends where you pilot with these ideas. Yes, in the West, it's easier for this to get acceptance. Other than the US or other part of Europe, it's very difficult for you to break through with these ideas because people are not very sure of how it is.
Favorite vacation?
Favorite vacation, France. We have a house there. So we go every year. And it's, got a lot of space to accommodate. We normally go the whole family, maybe 15, 20 people together. Yeah.
Do you have a large family?
Yeah, we have a large family with my 5 grandchildren, 2 children, and my wife's side of things. We have a large, pretty large. And friends. For us, it's always family and friends.
Right.
It's not just
Because
family.
friends become family.
Yeah.
They are your chosen family.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
And I remember, during COVID, my brother was going to get married, and I was telling Toby, Toby Switzer, you know him. And I was telling Toby, yeah, I'm going to go for my brother's marriage. And he's like, it's COVID time. I said, yeah, that's why we're going to have a very small, small gathering. How many people? I said, just about 300. And his
He's not used to
reaction.
that big crowd.
Yeah. Okay, so this brings us to the end of our rapid fire round, and I thought you were great. Excellent.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you, Amena.
And there's a tradition that on this podcast, we always ask the guest a question that the previous guest has asked. Of
Okay.
course, not knowing who the next guest
I'll
is.
try my best.
Okay. So this last question is for you, and it is being given to you by CEO of Shipper Delivery,
Shipper. Okay.
Shipper
Is that Borhen?
Burhan bin Mina. Yes.
Okay.
And he's asking, from this point in time, if you had the start of a new career, what would you choose?
If I had to start off a new career, I think for me, I would always be an entrepreneur because my personality, I'm not really, my previous job with Caltex was a means to an end. I had to understand a business. I had to learn a business. I had to educate myself. I had to go through that whole process. So it took me 20 years for me to achieve that before I could branch out. It's not easy to say start business and tomorrow you jump into business. It takes a lot of planning and time. And for me, that whole thing was a process. Firstly, educating myself after a fresh graduate, coming here, experiencing life, and then learning what would you do and getting subject knowledge of the business. You never venture into a business that you don't know anything about. That's the first mistake anybody can make. People think I put money in business and they don't know anything. That's a big mistake. You need to know. You need to know who and what and who's doing what, and you need to direct. So those 20 years of Caltex and today my company is modeled exactly gave me all the knowledge and the things. And today you said people all respect me because I know the business. People respect knowledge. When you know something, that you can talk from a position of strength, then everybody accepts it by default, So I think so that's very important for us. Keep in mind that knowing what you're doing. So that's it.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And if the entire world was listening to you for this next 1 minute, what would be your advice?
Well, for me, I think I spend a lot of my spare time, especially when I go home in the evenings, looking at the TV. And it's very demoralizing what you see, what's happening in the Middle East, and the violence, the destruction. I can't understand this. I can't understand on one side, we're trying to protect the environment. We're looking at greenhouse gas emissions. We're looking at managing carbon footprint. And on the other side, we are doing exactly the opposite. It's very difficult to digest this. And I think this is the message. There is no substitute for peace and stability. And this, I think, should be something that all people who come to power keep this as at the top of their minds. I don't understand. The last year, we've just seen nothing. There's so much of destruction. When you look at Palestine, it's very difficult to digest what's going on. But we are powerless as individuals, as companies, as powerless. What can we do? We can only speak in a small forum like this, and we can lobby through our areas of influence. We can try to lobby, maybe support, like humanitarian support or any other support that we do. Those are the only ways we can contribute. But I think my message to the world would be: let's rally around for peace. Peace has to prevail, not in one place but across the globe.
I love it. This is our message from Eugene Mayne to all of us out there. Let peace prevail. And thank you so much
Thank you.
for being
Thank
here
you,
today.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.